Hello, my name's Rachel and I work for the Step 2 Young People's Health Charity in Bradford. This video is about teaching about pornography and is a guide for RSE teachers. The Oxford English Dictionary defines pornography as refers to books, magazines and films that are designed to cause sexual excitement by showing or describing sexual acts. Now I've included two stills below from music videos. Some people have a belief that some music videos are pornographic. Because they don't show the sexual acts, people would argue that they are not. However, you might argue that those images would cause sexual excitement, especially to a teenage boy. However, they are not defined as pornography. Young people will access pornography wherever they have access to the internet. So they might do it through social media. They can also actually text pornography to each other. They might access online on various websites, but basically through any internet-enabled device such as an Xbox or a PS4. In terms of the law, if you are under 18, showing porn to somebody who is under 18, creating sexual images or videos or screenshotting sexual images of under 18s, that is always illegal. You might know the term revenge porn. If somebody is under 18 that appears in that video, it's actually image-based sexual abuse, and that is always illegal. Extreme porn can be anything that implies rape, incest, bestiality, necrophilia, violence or degradation, and again, that is always illegal. It's important that we teach our young people about the dangers of pornography. We can't tell them not to watch porn because that will probably make them watch it more. However, we can make them aware of the dangers. Porn is completely unrepresentative. It's very unlikely that you're going to see a wheelchair user in a porn film. Yet we know that wheelchair users can and do have sexual relationships. It's unrealistic. The storylines that they put into place just don't happen in real life. They warp our understanding of relationships, of what a relationship should be, because it's always about sex. They can affect our behaviour and rationalisation. Well, why wouldn't she want to do that? Because every other woman in porn wants to do that, so why doesn't my girlfriend want to do that? They never discuss consent or contraceptives. And they affect our understanding of body image. They're all airbrushed, they're all professionals. They are paid a lot of money to look that good. Not everybody looks like that, so it can affect our idea of what we should look like naked. And they are addictive. You've got some symptoms of pornography addiction in the top there, such as viewing it in inappropriate situations, when it causes you negative feelings or has a negative impact on your life. So the addiction occurs when the individual becomes dependent on the pornographic images. He or she will continue to watch it repeatedly and it becomes a bit of an obsession to them. They'll soon find that they can't stop viewing them. A pornography addiction can escalate quite quickly once it has developed. What once may have disgusted the person might now thrill them, and they find that they're watching more and more graphic images and that they're watching it more frequently, or that they're watching it in inappropriate places, as was mentioned on the last slide. Eventually, pornography addicts will become desensitised to the images that they're viewing. They'll find that no matter what they watch, they don't become excited by it. Often they can't get the same thrill as they once did, so they might go on to try and find their thrills elsewhere. Some German researchers concluded that pornography can shrink the brain. During the study, they found those who watched regular porn had a decreased striatum area in their brain, so this is an area that is linked to reward and motivation response. So again, you watch it, you become desensitised to it, you get less of a reward from it. Addiction can lead to problems gaining and maintaining romantic relationships because you might have a completely unrealistic view of what those relationships should be like. But these occur gradually and often in different stages. For many people, it starts when they are young. It starts when they first start viewing pornography as a teenager. That's not to say that every teenager will go on and develop an addiction. We do have some statistics available to help us understand the impact of pornography on our young people. So an NSPCC study in 2017 found 48% of 11 to 16-year-olds surveyed had seen pornography online. That's almost half of young people. 7% of 11 to 16-year-olds surveyed had shared a naked or semi-naked image of themselves. It's really important that we get young people to understand the dangers of that. We do have other videos on that on our YouTube channel. In 2015, 2.1% of girls and 24% of boys said they got their information from pornography. Valuable sex education is extremely important because otherwise children are going to seek out other sources of information, and if they are looking at pornography for the answers, they are getting the wrong answers. In 2019, 51% of 11 to 13-year-olds had seen porn at some point. So again, that is half of our 11 to 13-year-olds. 66% of 14 to 15-year-olds said they'd seen porn at some point. Unfortunately, we don't yet know the impact that the lockdowns have had on these statistics. An American internet watch site is predicting a 183% rise in young people accessing porn during their lockdowns. Children have been at home, they've had greater access to the internet. Parents may still have been out at work whilst the children were at home. We don't yet know what they were doing with that time. I understand how difficult it can be to talk to children about pornography. It potentially goes against everything that you've been taught as a trainee teacher or everything that you've picked up along the way. However, it is extremely important that they get this education. It's important to never shame, but to always support. So never say to them, people who watch porn are going to hell, or people who watch porn are bad. They might watch porn and that might be where they're getting their information. So it would be much better to say to them, some people do watch pornography to find out their information. However, we have found blah, blah, and blah. Be open and honest with them. Never talk about your experiences, however. So they might have questions. They might want to talk things through. Please feel free to deviate from your lesson plans, because if they see that you're responsive to them, then you will all feel much more relaxed. It's important to try to be relaxed. I know it's difficult. Make things fun and entertaining if you can. I'm aware of teachers who have let's talk about sex baby blasting down the corridors as the children are on the way to the lessons. I'm not suggesting you have to do that, but try and have a laugh and a giggle at some point during the lesson so that they are taking things in and they know that you're approachable. If they know the answers to the questions, make sure that they know there'll be no judgment. You know, they could have just picked up knowledge from somewhere, from a sibling, from anywhere really. They shouldn't be made to feel like, I can't answer this because that means people are going to know that I know about sex and I know about porn. Prepare yourself mentally. They are going to ask you questions. That's what they do. Keep to the ground rules though. Make sure you set some really firm ground rules that includes not talking about personal experiences, yours and theirs. The ground rules have to apply to all of you, you included. Yes, you need to stick to your safeguarding policy, absolutely. So if somebody says something you think, not quite sure about that, make sure you log it on your safeguarding system, whichever one you have, because at the end of the day, if your designated staff look at that and say, okay, that's normal developmental conversation, that's fine. However, if it's something that does need to be investigated a little bit further, you've done your bit, you've reported it, and that can be picked up on. And you know what? It's all right to acknowledge to them that this is awkward. I do that frequently because I go into schools and teach young people that I've never met before. The first lesson in the Year 10 programme is pornography. So I just walk in, I acknowledge that it's really weird that some lady is randomly talking to them about sex and about porn, and usually it tends to break the ice a little bit. It's all right to tell them that you're a maths teacher and you're slightly out of your comfort area. So when the difficult questions come, be prepared. It is going to happen at some point. It's all about staying calm and being in the situation. Make sure you've got those strong ground rules and refer back to them. So if they do ask you something personally about you or something that identifies them or another person, say to them, that's not an appropriate question. See if they can reword it in another way. It's absolutely fine to tell them that you don't know the answer. So, you say to them, I'm a French teacher. This isn't the subject I teach normally. I don't know the answer to that. I will go away and find out for you for next lesson. It's really rare that they'll try and trip you up or deliberately confuse you, because actually they don't have the level of knowledge to be able to do that. You might be the only knowledgeable person that they can talk to about RSE. Encourage them to talk if they want to. Do not force anybody to speak out during the lesson if they are uncomfortable doing so. That will just make them even harder to reach and make the lesson more inaccessible for them. So on this slide you have some support services. So step 2 is the charity that I work for. We have various social media handles which adults and children are very welcome to follow us on. We work in collaboration with James and Hale to deliver the relationships and sex education programmes across the Bradford district. Children can be signposted towards Childline, towards the NSPCC, and it's always a good idea to signpost them towards the police for things like naked selfies, images of themselves that might have got out online. But we can also provide information about other places where they can report such images.